Because in our language learning institutions, we are taught that grammar should be our main focus, and it is often presented in the most boring way possible. Many people associate grammar with just tedious exercises, tables, and useless memorization. And that was also me not so long ago, to be honest. And now I see this trend where we're recognizing that comprehensible input and immersion are far more effective than just grammar. But I feel like we're overcorrecting by completely rejecting grammar. And while I'm happy and glad to hear that many learners are changing their approach to the better, I'm here to discuss why we should still focus on grammar too. So instead of seeing it as the enemy or as something to be feared, my goal with this video is that you learn to see it for what it is, just another tool in your learning arsenal. I'm here basically to make you gain another perspective on it and use it to your advantage. That is to make your learning easier rather than harder. So what is grammar really? Well, it's not just about memorizing rules, it's about understanding the structure that helps the language function. The way I like to look at a language is like vocabulary being the bricks and materials of a house, and grammar just being the frame that connects everything. So with just vocabulary, maybe you're able to express certain needs, emotions, or actions. But with grammar, you can talk about things that are not in your immediate environment, things that happened before or that may happen. And whenever I see this debate about should I focus more on vocabulary or on grammar, I get a bit confused because I just don't see them as opposing forces, but rather as complementary things. They're like two sides of the same coin. One without the other leads to limitations. So if you have a very deep understanding of grammar, but don't have enough words to express yourself, it's pretty useless. But if you have an extensive word bank, but you cannot connect it all together, it can result in incoherence in your speech. So my take on this is just to focus on both, depending on your needs. So if you feel like you have enough understanding on the structure and how grammar works, then maybe work a bit harder on your vocabulary. But on the other hand, if you feel like you have enough words but just can't seem to connect them together, then focusing on grammar is a good idea. Now, I guess this begs the question of how much grammar should one study? I think that this is highly individual, but for me, it depends on three main things. First of all, how similar my target language is to my native language. If they're from the same family and they have similar structures, chances are I don't have to spend that much time on grammar because I already can pick up the patterns just from context. If it's very far away, on the other hand, I am definitely going to focus more on how the whole language works because, because it's foreign to me. Then it also depends on where I'm at with my language process. If I'm in a beginner stage, I am definitely not focusing so much on grammar, but rather on expanding my vocabulary. But as my vocabulary expands, it's important for me to integrate more and more grammar because I like to understand how the whole language builds up, and I have to learn more and more sophisticated structures. And lastly, it also depends on how well I actually know how to use these grammar rules. Sometimes I study some rule or I think I know how it works, but I can't actually use it. I can't make it myself. So that's like a signal to me that I have to focus more on this. And this is also a skill that you have to develop of like become aware of what kind of things you struggle with when you're learning a language and just focus on them. And every time I discuss language learning, I like to bring to the table the question of what are your goals? If your goal is to simply communicate and be understood, then grammar is not that relevant. On the other hand, if your goal is to speak as accurately and correctly as possible, grammar is more relevant. In a weird way, I feel like I'm talking to a past version of myself studying French, because I was just a grammar hater. I used to avoid it all the time. And now with Hungarian, like with Hungarian grammar, I'm having so much fun. Probably because I'm getting better at it and I'm not seeing it as this difficult thing that it's just not for me. And also because I have wonderful teachers. But my point is that my French has suffered some consequences because of my avoidance behaviors, because I feel like I still make the same beginner mistakes, and it can definitely be frustrating at times. And I just think back and I'm like, had I been less stubborn about grammar and had I put a bit more effort into it, like just a bit of revision here and there, I could be definitely speaking better right now. And before you dismiss grammar completely and ignore what I just said, let me give you a final thought. What if speaking more fluently isn't about drowning in vocabulary, but actually about understanding better how to glue together the words you already know? Just a thought. The other day I read about a case in the 90s about two kids that went missing, and their mother declared that they were such good boys. And because someone paid attention to the grammar tense she used, which was the past, later on they found out that she was the killer, so she already knew that they were dead. So I'm just saying, sometimes paying a bit attention on this grammatical things and on this details can be very beneficial to your learning. I hope this helps you somehow. I hope you can help someone, and I will see you in the next one.